Hi, I'm Byron, and this is StepwiseRPA. This video is a super short version of the Your First RPA Bot video that I did earlier. The first version has lots of helpful tips and tricks and full commentary, so check it out if you want to get as much information as you possibly can. But it's a little long. This version is short and sweet, to the point, so without further ado, let's jump in and get it going. Okay, when you open up StepwiseRPA, you come into the Bot Manager, and you can see we've already got that first bot already created. I'm going to click on the utilities, right click, and let's actually click there, and then click the new bot. So that's going to add a bot to that utilities folder. Like the other one, we're going to name it utils 02. So that's an abbreviated way of saying, hey, did you guys check out utils 02? Easy way to communicate. Delete old bot files. Okay, so we're building this bot, and what is it going to have in it? Let's jump into the overview. So deleting old bot files. Every time Stepwise runs, it creates a new bot file. You can go back to that later, check out and see what happened in the bot, see if there were errors. The first step that we're going to do is we're going to set a folder variable. Then we're going to set a date variable. Best practice, always use variables for everything. Then we're going to get a list of the file paths. Then we're going to loop through that list and delete each file in that path, or each file path. Alright, so we've created our bot file. I'm going to right click and reset the file name so that it'll set the file name to the same thing that we're calling our bot. Then I'm going to click edit. And this opens us up in the editor. On the far left is the available actions that you have, and then you've got our list of steps, and then here's where we get our actions that we configure them, and the far right is the variables. So let's go ahead and create our first step, and this is going to be a log message. I like to document the bots as we go along, so I'm typing in log, hit this or hit enter, and then drag that over. So this is like a comment to comment your code. And first thing we want to do is we're going to initialize our variables. Okay, so what was our first variable? It's going to be setting a folder variable. Then we're going to set a date variable. I'm going to clear that out, and I'm going to do set var. Okay, set variable value. I'm going to drag this on top of our log, and now it wants our variable name. Okay, we've got a couple ways to create that. I'm just going to go over to variables and click new, and we're going to call this folder name. We're going to leave it as a text data type. Let's make it folder path. This is a little bit different from our other video, but we're going to call it a path because that's really what it is. Could put a default in here, but we don't want to do that. Here's the variable that just got created. Drag it in, place it there. What value do we want it to be? Let's go to our file explorer, and we're going to go to C:. Stepwise stores all of its items out in your users folder under app data. If you don't see app data, you have to go to view and click hidden items. That'll show you the app data folder. Double click that, go to roaming, scroll down till you find Stepwise RPX, double click botcom, double click logs. Okay, you can see here the earliest files that we've got are created on 12/10. So keep that number in mind. We want to get the past 15 days or something like that. So I'm clicking in here and copying this file path. I'm going to paste it in, Control V to paste it into our set value. Alright, got our first variable set up. Let's set up another one. I'm going to drag and drop right in top there. And what's our variable name going to be? Last time we clicked new over here. this to create a new variable. This time I'm going to click inside the variable field and hit F2. And then I'm going to type in our new variable, and it's going to be date, date older than. There we go. And I'm going to select a date time data type. Could put in a default value. I'm not going to do that here. Now, how do I get the date? I want to get everything that's 15 days or older. So I'm going to click on generic, right click on that, and click get token, configure token. That brings up a bunch of functions that you can apply to a variable. This generic token or variable comes free with every bot that you create. It doesn't have any value, but it's used as kind of a dummy variable to get to be able to use these functions. So I want a date function, and I'm going to get today's date. Today is January 3rd, 2021. Happy New Year. Okay, so I clicked plus on that. Now I've got today is true, and now I want to add days -15. I want everything that's 15 days or older. You can't subtract days, but what you can do is add negative days. So add -15, click the plus, click copy, and now I can paste that into my value. Okay, so I've got these two variables values set up, and I'm going to create a message box by hitting Alt-M. That creates a message box action, and I'm going to drag those two variables into this message box here so that we can see what our values are. I'm going to save it, click run, and here's our message box. It's going to close after 2 seconds. Let's do it again. Let's make this 0 so it doesn't automatically close. We're 7 minutes in. I'm trying to keep this under 12 minutes. Okay, so our date is now the 19th of 2020. So we're only going to delete things that are older than the 19th. And here's the file path that we brought in. Okay, that all looks great. Test your bots as you go along. I'm going to delete that message box. And then I'm going to add another log item, another comment. Type in log, hit enter. And let's just drop it down here at the bottom for our next step. What is our next step? Let's go to our list, and we're going to get a list of file paths. All right, so get files older than 15 days. That's not the best way to say that, but that's where we're saying it. All right, how do we get files? You can come in here and look for, under files and folders, get files from folder. You can also search, but we're just going to come down here and grab it, drop it, and there we go. So what's our folder path? We set up this folder variable. The reason you always want to set up items in variables is so that you can easily change the values, which will affect everywhere it's used inside of your bot. Okay, so we've got that. Let's go ahead and click to include subfolders. What variable do we want to store this to? I'm going to click inside there, hit F2, and I'm going to call it file list. And the data type we want, I'm going to click on that and hit L. That's going to bring me down to list of dates. If I keep hitting L, it's going to keep bringing me down. I want list of text. So let's go ahead and select that. I could put in default values here, but we're going to click OK. Notice that it pops it right in there for me. Do I want to keep existing items in that? No, I don't. But I do want to add a condition. So I click new, and I'm going to click on that and change that to date created. And I want it to be less than or equal, so it's older. And what's our variable? Date older than. There we go. So now we've got that. We've got our list of files coming in here. Let's test this before we go any further. I'm going to type in mess up here, message, and I'm going to drop this message box in. See, it's dropped after. There we go, made it a child, put it after that one. And how do we get the number of items in a list? So here's our list of text. Again, I can right click, configure token, or I can click on that and I can click this button up here, configure token. Here's the variable file list, and let's scroll down to list functions. All right, we want to get the item count. So get the number of items in the list, click the plus, click copy, and then paste it in. So that's going to show us how many we've got in that meet that criteria. Change that to 0 so it won't automatically close. I Control S to save, click run, and now we're going to get a message box, 131. Let's go to our folder. We're sorted here, and we're looking at everything that's younger than 1219. And I don't know if it's 12:19 a.m. so it's going to be all of these. And if I click, maybe it's not 12:19 a.m. or let's go to 12:18, younger than 12:19 at midnight. So it would be 12:18 and older. Okay, so I click on that, select those. There's 131. So that shows me that I am getting the right things. Test it before you delete it. Don't delete without testing. Click OK. Our bot is done. Check out the run log. It shows you all kinds of interesting information. I'm going to click close it. I'm going to delete our message box. And now let's add another log item. Log message, right there it is. And then we're going to loop on files and delete. Okay, so how do we do a loop? Let's type in loop, and the puppy has just jumped up on my lap here. Nope. There we go. And now we're at 12 minutes, and I want to do a loop type items in a list. So let's grab our file list, drag and drop that into our list variable. Okay, and so now we've got our loop going. How do we get the items that are in, get the value of the item that's in the loop? Let's do the message box again, and let's show those. So I'm going to drag and drop that in there. Over here, you'll see step 7, loop on list. That's the action. It automatically created 3 variables for you that are going to be updated each time the loop iterates. There's a counter, which will say 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the first iteration, second iteration. The index, what is the starting number of your loop? Typically, loops start at 0 because a lot of things in programming is indexed on the 0 as being the first item. So if you had a loop on loop from one number to a number and another number, said loop from 10 to 20, the first one would be 10, and then 11, 12, 13, 14, whereas the counter would always start with 1. Okay, and then the current value. Since we're looping on a list, it's going to be the current value of the item we're looking at. So let's drag that in. We're not deleting yet. We're checking to make sure that we're getting what we think, and we're going to run it. And this is going to try to run all 133, and you see there's the first one, there's the second one, the third one. I'm going to go ahead and click this red X to stop the bot, and it's done. Close it. Okay. Control T will ask if I want to turn that off, and I'm going to say yes, let's turn that off. You can also right click, toggle active. Okay. Finally, we want to delete. So just type in part of the word delete, and here are all of the delete actions, and we want to go to files and folders and delete a file. So I'm going to drag and drop that right on top of the loop so it becomes a child of that. And what's the file path? You can always browse for a file, but we want to delete the one that's the current value of our loop. And the question is, do we want to move it to the recycle bin, or do we want to delete it forever? Let's click on recycle bin. Okay. And let's jump back to our loop here so that we don't have to spend so long. Let's just max iterations of 5. So it's going to delete the first 5. Go ahead and run it, and I should have cleared out my box, my recycle bin before I did this. But let's go and take a look and see what's in our recycle bin now. Yep, this is from our previous video. I'm going to go ahead and empty the recycle bin, and let's run it again. So you can see that we delete 5 items. Okay, here's our bot. Let's run it again. So we can watch it working. Okay, it's done running. I'm going to go ahead and close it and minimize that, double click, and here are the 5 items. And there's your date modified. They were all from 12/15, which is older than 12/19, so it was certainly created before that. Okay, that's the end of this demo bot. Hopefully that gives you a flavor for how easy RPA can be and how powerful Stepwise is. Hope you've enjoyed it. Let me know if you have questions. Go to StepwiseRPA.com in order to download a free trial and give it a spin. Let me have your feedback. I really would appreciate it. Huge favor to ask of you. Thanks. Bye.